Hi, this is Hot Girls Build Cults, the show where we explore the art of gathering, the business of belonging, and the people creating communities worth showing up for. I'm your host, Megan Lycan, storyteller, community builder, and lifelong people connector. Each week, we talk to the people creating movements, spaces, and communities that make you say, I want in. And guess what? You're invited. Let's get into it. Amazing. Well, welcome to Hot Girls Build Cults. Today I'm sitting down with Rossy Burgos, who is a business coach and community builder who's all about helping people level up their lives in a real, sustainable way. She creates experiences from events to coaching programs that bring people together to feel seen, supported, and genuinely motivated. Her approach blends mindset, wellness, and real life growth, all with the goal of helping people step into their next level while actually enjoying the process and having fun. Welcome, Rossy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to sit down with you. I've been watching your events for a while now, and I'm I have to get you on the pod.
I'm so excited that you're coming to the coffee club.
Yeah. So for listeners who aren't familiar with Rossy's work, she has a wellness business called Upleveled Wellness, and one of her flagship or most popular events is a coffee rave, and I'll be attending my first one this Saturday. I'm super excited about it. So I guess a really great place to start is just take us back to the beginning. What was happening in your life when the idea of Uplevel first prompted you to start?
Yeah. So that time in my life was such a interesting time. I felt so alone in that time of my life, but it's funny because I not and no one would ever know that because I was surrounded by so many people. I had friends, family, I was going out, I traveled, my life was full, but I felt so disconnected from I think myself, but also just the people around me. And it just didn't help that I also was doing things that just were not aligned with who I am as a person. I was going out a lot and I was just doing a lot of things that just weren't conducive to the person I wanted to be or the person I used to be. And so in that moment, I realized I had to kind of decide where I wanted to go. I either became, the person that I currently was and I kind of kept going the same route, or I had to switch things up and I had to if I couldn't find a community of people that I felt connected to or like accepted by, then I needed to create my own. And that's really where Upleveled Wellness started. Just kind of my own need, really, from wanting to feel connected to others and kind of go back to myself and to my wellness. And so that's why I started Upleveled Wellness.
Wow, that's so powerful, and that resonates with me so much. I've actually been toying with the idea of starting something myself, and I love that you're okay, if I can't find it, it doesn't already exist, I'll create it myself. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm actually curious, how long have you been running Up-Leveled Wellness?
Yeah, so my first event was, I think, back in 2023. That
Wow.
was my very first event, and again, that event came in a time where I was just kind of I need to get out of this rut that I'm in, and I need to do something different. I need to kind of pivot my life a little bit, and I had been doing a lot of work on myself, and so I was like, if I'm feeling like this, I know many other people are feeling this way. Also, the time in my life, my age, I was in a transition period of I'm no longer in my 20s, but I'm also not married and have kids. And so, where does my life go from here? And so, my first event was called Make It Happen for Yourself event. And it was at a spin studio because I wanted people to try out spin with me. But also, I wanted there to be that mindset portion of things. And so, it was called Make It Happen for Yourself. And really, the idea was that people came in, they got to meet each other. And also we talked about just going after that life that you want. And it was just such a cool event. I didn't, couldn't have never expected how well it went, and how vulnerable people were in that event. And, um, looking back now, just the things that people talked about at that event and now seeing them a few years later, a lot of people spoke very scary dreams that they had. And a lot of those people have those things that they talked about. So there's a Pilates person who wanted to do Pilates in there. There was a person who wanted to be a content creator. There was a friend of mine who talked about wanting to be a mom so badly. And all of those people have those things now. And it's just I look back to that first event and I'm like, That was such a nice event. So from there, like that was 2023. But then like I kind of got in my own way, like we do, and my next event didn't happen, I don't think, for another like few months. So I've been technically doing this since 2023, but I will say when I got consistent with it and I've really like seen it take off has been since um last June.
Oh, okay, okay. I just want to like, oh my, I just stop and say like that's just so inspiring, and I love the idea of that first event. Like I felt, I was like, oh, am I gonna get choked up in this interview? Like it's resonating so much with me at this moment. I love. So would you say a lot of your events kind of include both like a wellness and a mindset piece? Is that like something that you always kind of come back to?
Yes, that's definitely something that I want all my events to have, whether they're, you know, the coffee rave is actually, it's funny that you say it's like my most popular, but it is really the one that like I think made people notice what we were doing. But that's probably the one that's furthest away from what my typical events look like.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, all my events, my hope is that people have like space to really connect back to themselves, their mindset, and their wellness. So I always want to make sure that it incorporates those things. One thing that I did was like every time someone comes to a walk club or any type of event, I hand out like little affirmation cards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that also just kind of like grounds people into like, oh, this is this type of event. And I used to be very like nervous to host that event because I feel like a lot of people are very like, oh, like that's just like some woo woo stuff. But people really like it. And so I really want to make sure that all my events always feel that way. They have that feeling of like working on yourself, your mindset, and your wellness.
We love the woo, and I mean that it's not. I mean, in the full spectrum of woo woo things, like that's not that. That's
Right.
not
Yeah,
that woo.
exactly.
Just a little, like optimism with your wellness. I guess
Yeah.
so. Walk us through like the kind of the full spread of the types of events that you host under up leveled wellness. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so the very first one was that one, the make it happen for yourself. And I wanted to be very like conversational, sit down, people, being able to like talk to others and connect with others, but then also bring it back to themselves. And then there was like the workout portion, which was like the spin portion of that one. Um, from there, I've just kind of like tested out different concepts. I always wanted to have the mindset. I always wanted to have like some sort of wellness or like fitness portion to it because that's what I love and what I was looking for. Um, so I've hosted just a lot of different ones. So I guess what I would say is like the concept is it's an event on a weekend, usually in the morning. People come in, we do some mindset stuff, conversations, connection. There's a workout portion, and then people mingle and hang out and have fun and all of that. Hopefully leave with a friend, hopefully leave feeling a little bit more connected to themselves. I've also done just like the coffee rave, which that one is all about just like having fun. So kind of like what I talked about. I used to go out a lot. And so I still like to socialize and I still like to be around people. I just didn't necessarily feel like I had to do that at like 12 a.m. I wanted to
Right.
sleep, but I still want to be around people and I still want to like connect with others. And have fun. I just didn't need to do that every weekend at night. And so that's, now we have like a coffee club where it's just like meant to be. We have walk club beforehand. So I call that kind of like the pregame and it
Mm-hmm.
gets, endorphins going, people excited, people connected. And then we have the coffee club, which is people just come in, they get coffee. And then there's music and people are dancing. It was the last one we had was just so much fun. Like it just kind of took us back to like club days, right? But like
Yeah.
not feeling bad about yourself afterwards, which I
Yeah.
I love that.
I think what you're doing is just like so timely for like what people are craving at this moment. This whole idea of being able to socialize that's not at a bar, like you're doing something that like, you know, supports your physical and mental wellness while you're also meeting people and connecting with them like on a deeper level and like fostering that sense of belonging and um yeah, so if that doesn't exist in your city, like go ahead and
Yes.
create it.
Yeah, and that's the
Um
thing, like, I used to live in Denver where, like, events like that happen all the time, and I was, and out like, I came from another city to Denver, so, like, my thing was, like, let me go out and find all of these events, like, naturally, when you're new to a city, you go and do those things, but when you are from your hometown, like, you don't go out and act like a tourist, like we miss all of
Hmm.
these really cool things happening. So that's what I told myself. Like, if I really want to give Tucson a shot, live here and be here, like I need to treat it as if it's a new city to me and bring the things to it that I would want it to have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good outlook. And it's so true. It's something you like a lot of people don't realize, but if you've been in a place for a long time and you're like, "Oh, maybe I need to move." It's such a like good reframe like, "Well, why don't I act like I'm new to this city and see." Yeah, and again, back to like building it. So, I guess like, community building can sometimes be slow to validate. Like, how did you know this was something that was like actually working? It was like actually a sticky community that you were going to continue to build on.
I think I was very lucky to know that from the very beginning. That very first event, I think, felt so intentional, and people left really feeling like, wow, that was, it's hard to say transformational because it almost feels like braggy, but it really did feel that way. Like, I think as soon as people left and like the conversations that were had and just the feedback that I got afterwards, I was like, okay, I'm onto something here.
Mhm.
So I immediately kind of knew I had something. It was just about, again, getting out of my own way. And then as I continued to host more, I will say like one of my events where I was really like, okay, this is something. It was a free walk club. I partnered with FP Movement, and I was able to collaborate with like a flower truck, a really cute, like small flower truck. And it was a free event, like I just wanted people to come and walk with me
Mhm.
because that's something that I enjoy doing. And the turnout was insane. Like when I saw people starting to show up, I wasn't in charge of the list at that time, so I couldn't exactly see how many people were coming. And also free events, like people tend to not show up to those. They'll sign up for them, but they don't actually show up. To see the amount of people that showed up and just how happy everyone was to connect and meet each other. Like I saw so many people like shaking hands and like saying like, this is what I do. And just people laughing. And I knew they weren't friends beforehand, and seeing them leave friends, like I was just like, wow, I'm doing something here. And then every following event, like logistically selling out, I was like, okay, we have something here.
Mhm.
So that's when I knew like I had something.
Wow. Yeah, it does sound just like perfect timing and something people were craving and you kind of filled that gap.
Yeah.
Two things you said that I wanted to kind of dive into a little bit is, you said it was like I think your second event and you were partnering with a studio. Like what did that look like? Was it hard to get, studios to work with you initially?
The first event that I hosted was at a studio, and initially, like to get the buy-in was easy. It was afterwards that it was almost like it almost I don't know how to explain it without like sounding negative, but that studio owner almost saw it as like competition. Instead of seeing it like these people came to my studio who maybe otherwise wouldn't have came to my studio.
Yeah.
Um, so that was tricky afterwards, but the buy-in had already been there. And then with other studios, it was a no-brainer. Like people are like, if you're a smart business owner, you want people to come into, you want wellness-focused people who are your demographic, the age group that come to my events. Like you want them to step foot in your space anyway. So like if someone's doing it for you, that's free publicity essentially and lead
Right.
generation. So afterwards, no, I didn't have any issues with the buy-in. It's more now with venues trying to make them see the value of getting that many people into your venue. Now they see it and everyone's coming to me and has all these opportunities that they're giving me. But the first one to like the first venue, big venue that I wanted to use, like I really had to sell it to them. They couldn't
Gotcha.
see
Yeah.
how someone would come to like a restaurant or bar and do a wellness event and how that would even make sense for them. But once they
Yeah.
saw the event, like how successful it was, they were like, when can we do the next one?
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, I want to say that because I'm like, have you been online? Because like, I think, yeah, I think the concept is so cool, and I love that. Like, yeah, you've got a lot of buy-in now. There was a second thing that you said that I've heard a couple other community builders talk about, especially like in the beginning, and helping you plan is like, a lot of people sign up for free events, but it's not until you like charge some sort of minimum do you actually get the commitment. So like, I mean, what did that look like for you to kind of switch from free events? Um, And I guess where I'm going with that is like whether you charge a ticket or like maybe you're getting like paid from the venue as an entertainer, like how you think about that.
It's kind of both, and I've tested kind of both. There's a lot of free events, and they are really great free events, and I think that that's amazing, and I think that there needs to be accessibility in wellness, and I love that. But I really do believe in the sense that like you have to honor your time and commitment as well. And I know that if something's free for me, I don't value it as much.
Hmm.
And that's not, I don't know, like it's just it's human nature. If you're paying for something, if you're investing into something, you're going to value it more than if it's just a freebie. And I've signed up for free events before, and day of comes and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to that. I'm not feeling it. My back hurts, or my bed is so cozy, whatever. And so it's easier for me to cancel, whether or otherwise, like if I have one that I've paid $35 for, I'm like, no, let me get my butt up. I need to go
Yeah.
to this event, or I just lost $35.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that there's a time and a place for free. And I definitely always want to make sure that I'm accessible. And that's why I always keep Walk Club free, obviously. And if at any point I can get venues to pay me to do things, then yes, I want to fully make sure that people can come. I always try to give away tickets. Like if I know someone really wants to come and then they say like, oh, but I don't have the funds for it, I try to like hold some sort of budget for myself to be able to give away tickets. Because I know I've had times where like I really want to go to something, but like my budget's tight. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of how I feel good about being able to make it accessible, also honoring my time and effort into putting these events together. But yeah, I think that's the hard part sometimes, because I do charge for events.
Yeah.
Um, and the misconception is that like if I'm charging, let's say $35 for an event and I sell it to 60 people, that I'm getting that much money back. And that is a misconception, because events actually don't make that much money. They actually
Right.
just kind of pay for themselves if you're lucky. So,
Yeah, yeah. Like
uh,
either you're paying for the space or anything that you're doing to help like curate the experience or like additional vendors. Because I feel like I haven't been to one of your events yet, but I remember seeing like on TikTok, like I think there was like a photographer and like a pop up, like a what they call like activations that happen around the event and things like that. And I'm sure you have to pay the DJ, like all of those things that are go into the ticket price. So
yeah, and I'm very lucky too that I've had so many people reach out and like want to collaborate with me. And so I've had, photographers in the past like say like I'll do this one for free. I just want to be like within that community, or I want to do this for more exposure. So I'm always very lucky to have those type of opportunities. But then, then I'm like, no, then I want to make sure that I'm paying people as well. So like I had the friend do the balloon arch, and she's like, no, you don't have to pay me anything. I'm like, yes, I'm going to pay you, because I know that I would want to be paid for my time, and for the supplies and things like that. So I'm in that space right now where I'm trying to find a really fair way to do all of this, because I do want
yeah,
to keep it accessible. I also want to value my time and effort that goes into all of this, while also making the experience fun, which needs money. You need money for
yeah,
that. And so back to your question, you also asked, like, do venues pay me? And so that's kind of where we're at. Whereas like when an opportunity comes my way, it's almost my job to steer it in that direction. Because it's kind of a new thing here in Tucson. So people don't really know how to take what I do. Like some events or some venues will think of it as like I'm a promoter. So
mhm,
I've never known that side of things, or like that business. So I didn't know how that really worked. For me, it would be just easier if someone said like, we would love for you to bring all of these people to our space. You can use our space free of charge and do your thing. But of course, that's just not
yeah,
how it can work all the time. So I've done both.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for going into that because I feel like people who are just getting started are really interested in some of like the logistics of getting started and what it looks like and how you make a business out. How do you make money from throwing
Yeah.
events? Like that's um I guess like what um you know across the events, like what do you think has like really worked well and what hasn't worked well?
Um, I think on like a feeling level, what's really worked well for me, and I think what differentiates me from any other pop-up or event that happens, is that I really want people to feel like seen. And it's not, for me, it's not about filling up a space. It's not about selling out an event, which has happened and I'm so grateful for it. But for me, I'd rather focus, like my metric of success is more the quality of the event than the quantity of people there. Um, I'd rather have 7 people in a room, which I've had at events before where just, 7 people signed up for it. But I know that like 7 of those people left feeling really good. They
Mhm.
left feeling seen. They left feeling connected to themselves, to others. And they were like, that was a good like use of my hour and a half. And that's my metric of success. And I think that's what works in my events is that people actually do feel or leave feeling a little bit more connected to themselves, to others, or they just had fun. And I want that. What
Yeah.
hasn't worked out, I would say, I don't think there has been an event that I left and was like, wow, like never doing like that specific event again. It's more the feeling of it. So like, I don't want to ever have to go into an event and feel like I have to sell a certain amount of tickets for me to feel successful. Like I'd rather, again, the quality over the quantity. Like I think I'm very strategic and I've been very good at being able to sell out my events. But if it ever got to the point where it's like, I need to sell this many tickets for the event to break even or to be successful, then I think that's where I start to kind of lose what the idea behind Upleveled Wellness is.
Right. And that sounds like that's like not putting yourself in a position where like you would have to sell out like a large venue to like make ends meet. So you just refrain from doing types of events that would ever put too much pressure and takes like the enjoyment out of it for you. I
Yeah,
also just like want to comment just because I can tell that like you're so intentional on how you plan and facilitate your events. Like I can just tell it's going to be super sustainable because like that focus on quality over quantity, making sure that people are paid even though when they're volunteering, like that's just good karma. You know what I mean? I just
yeah,
feel like you're going to be around for a while.
yeah, I hope so. And like, that really is my hope. And, I'm every time I host an event, they're like, when's the next one? And I've been kind of slow to grow, honestly, because even though I've grown really fast, I've been slow to like take the bigger opportunities because of that reason. Like, again, I've been very lucky and very grateful to have so many people just like pour into Upleveled Wellness and give me free things so that like an event can go well. Obviously, they're getting something out of it too. They're getting that exposure, they're getting the client and lead generation and all of those things, which I see a lot of value in. But also like I want to be able to get to a place where I can say like this event requires 2 photographers, a videographer, a content person, a balloon arch backdrop person, and this is my budget for it. Like that is my hope, and that's why I've been slow to like put more of these bigger events together because they do require a lot of investment, and I want to be able to pay people because I know I would definitely give a freebie here and there, but I that's not sustainable in business, and I'm very business minded as well. That's my background, and so like I need to be able to see the give and return type of thing in that. So I hope that I'm sustainable, and I've been very intentional to be sustainable because I can see a lot of events, they take a lot of work and there's a lot of burnout in it. There's so many people popping up with events, and I love to see that, and I love everything that they're doing, but in my head logistically I'm like, that's not sustainable. Like I see the ticket prices, I know that a lot of them don't, they might be paying for a venue space, which venue spaces can be thousands of dollars, unless a venue space is saying like, have at it, here's for free. Like there's some sort of monetary exchange there. So I see ticket prices and I see like the venue, everything that they put into it, and I'm like, how do they make money here? Like, or not
You're like
even make,
reverse engineering. You're like
yeah, I'm
trying to
like,
figure
not
out,
even
yeah.
not even make money, but just like break even. Like in my head I'm like, that's costing a lot of money. And I'm very like resourceful. Like there's so many things, everything basically right now I do myself. Like when I have merch, like just the last 2 times I had merch made, but before that, when I had merch, it was me literally iron pressing things, creating
Wow.
the graphic, cutting the Cricut vinyl. It was all like so many hours. And so I'm like, you add up all of those things, like I had to do like tax season and like add up all of those things. And I was like, that's a lot of money, and I'm doing it on the cheap. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine people who have event planners and like all of these decorations and all of these things. And I'm like, how are they doing it?
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
that's such a good point. Because then I would like, as I'm sitting here talking to you, like you have such a grounding presence and you have so much intentionality. And I'm just curious, like, has it ever been difficult for you to not grow too quickly? Because people are like, oh, that was such an amazing event. Like, do it back to back, like, is it hard for you to say no and just be like, yeah.
it's so hard. And I have put myself in situations where I not regret it, but I tell myself like you should have listened to yourself. I've had, opportunities that I've said no to, and that is hard because in my mindset sometimes like I try not to be like this, but we're all human, and so you think like if I say no to this opportunity there will never be any other opportunities, or like they're going to go to the next person, because again like the event space is popping up, the wellness event space is popping up a lot, and so I'm like if I say no to something they're just going to go to the next person, the next person's going to say yes. And so it is very hard for me, but at the same time I think I'm very in tune with and I'm smart. I feel like I'm strategic, so I'm like, I know if I say yes to this and then this X, Y, and Z happens, like I'm gonna be really mad at myself. And I've had that happen. So I try to foreshadow a little bit of like, what this will look like while also taking risks, because you have to take risks sometimes, but at the end of the day, you also have to be realistic of what you are capable of. And I could continue to get people to like want to offer all of these freebies, and I could continue to say yes. And then the reputation's going to be like, oh, Rosie only takes the freebies, and like she's taking this much from the ticket sales and not giving it to anyone else. Because I've heard it from other, event hosts, like what people will say, like, oh, they didn't pay anyone and they took all of the ticket for themselves. And I'm like, you have to also see the value. Like sometimes you don't pay people, but what you can offer them in exposure and in just connecting them to the next person, or, an opportunity, like that is worth a lot of money. And so you have to be able to see both of that. So like I've had
Mhm.
people who have been vendors at my events who make money off of my events because they are selling something at my events, then turn around and say that I should be paying them. And I'm like, I think you made more money than me, honestly, at that event. So like, I'm not sure why I would pay you. So it's tricky because again, I have a business mind, but I'm also very like, I'm a people person. And so I'm like, how can we both gain from this? Because that's what business is.
Right.
Um, so it's a lot of that. Like people don't realize that. And I think that's what I would tell people. If you want to host something like this, like definitely do it from a place of like being mission driven. Like there's something that you clearly it's a heart centered thing that you want for a community, because there's going to be a lot of things you go through that where you have to like check your values, and you have to check like why you're doing it, because some things are not going to make sense like logistically, business wise, but you have to like know kind of what your north star is and like what your value core is. And it can get lost very easily, because me, even though I feel very grounded and I'm very like intentional about what I do, I have got lost. I've lost the plot a few times where I'm like, what are we doing here? Or like,
Yeah.
how did I end up paying when I'm providing so much service here? So it's a lot of like reflection
Yeah.
after an event to decide kind of how to move forward. And I'm still figuring that out truly.
Yeah, there was so many like helpful reminders in there. And like the first thing I wanted to say was like, because you said that like sometimes you've run into other operators where like people are talking about they didn't get paid. And like the thing I want to say to that is like remember that you like also exist in this community of people of operators. You know what I mean? And I mean it sounds like that's something that you already do, but yeah, just like that walking that fine line of especially when you're getting started, like what does that actually look like and everyone that you're working with. So I think that's really helpful that you kind of yeah, kind of shared that. Something else I wanted to kind of like pull on the thread a little bit was um this notion of sometimes you've had to decline events because you weren't ready for it sort of thing, but at the same time you're seeing like all of these events like kind of crop up and like especially like in the wellness space. And I'm curious from your perspective, like do you think like it's ever too saturated to get started?
I don't think so. I think, and what I like to tell myself, because again, I'm human and I feel that, right? Like when I start to see like I'm taking a moment of a break or strategy, like break for myself to like get grounded and know what I'm doing next. And then I see like seven events pop up and they all look really cool. And I'm like, I'm missing out. Or like I wrote down an idea and then I took too long and then someone executed the idea. And I'm like, damn it, like, why didn't I do that? And it's so hard to like not it's sometimes jealousy is normal, like sometimes I'm like, damn it, I could have done that. Or like if anyone should do that, it should have been me. And I get on myself for that. But at the same time, like I have to remember there's someone for everybody. And like I can't be for everybody. So it's almost like I'm so happy every time a new wellness like group or social club pops up. I'm like, it hits, because I'm human, it hits me a little bit. And I'm like, oh, that's like, stepping on me a little bit. But then at the same time, I'm like, no, good, because then that takes a little bit of pressure off of me too, because I can't be for everybody and I won't be for everybody. And at least, there's more people like, younger girls doing it or like a different type of group doing it. And that takes the pressure off of me to have to do everything or like try every concept out. I could really niche it down to like really what fills my cup.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think it's too saturated. And I think with anything, like if you want to do it, there's always going to be 1,000 other people doing it, but no one's going to do it like you. And as long as you're really set on that core, um, no one can really like step over you.
Yeah. This is actually like a space that I personally struggle with a lot. Like last year I was working in the coaching space and I was like everyone's in the same niche but that's kind of what happens like when the
Yeah,
algorithm gets to know you, it just shows you other people and I'm like, "Oh my God,
exactly.
like how do I differentiate?" But like I always like to remind myself. I'm like, "Yeah, but they always put like Burger Kings and McDonald's like right across the street from each other." Like you know what I mean? There's always going to be a ton of the same thing. People are attracted to you and your energy and what you're building in your community. So like it's never really too saturated.
Yeah, the only thing that it has hit me a little bit with so much saturation happening in the space is that I worry that because I know how much time and energy and effort it takes to put on a good event and also just like to make people feel good about the event it's a whole other like level of it. My only worry is that then there's so many of these events happening and someone just happens to go to one that wasn't well organized and it didn't go well. They paid $50 for something and they didn't have a good experience. Now the next time I post an event that's similar or looks kind of like it, and they're gonna be like, I'm not paying for that. The last event I went to sucked. Like, I'm not going to that. So it's hard because I'm like, I want it to be very open to everyone that's not saturated, but at the same time, it's like it's hard when it's not being done the same way or well, and it starts to like impact the way people see what you do. Because
Mm,
that has happened, like when I've gone to venues and I pitch and then they're like, oh, we've had someone do that and it was not great. It was, and like so then I'm working off of like and negative there. And I'm always have
yeah.
to work harder to show them that it is different. But I will say it hasn't happened, to me where it's like directly affecting me. But I do worry about that sometimes when like people ask me, like, aren't you worried? Like so many people are doing the same thing. And I say no, because I feel like everyone has a chance and like everyone has their type of people. But that would be the one thing that I worry about is that there are so many of the same type of events that then people are like, well, why would I go to that one and pay $35 or whatever the price is when I can go to this one, or I did go to this one, paid that, and it sucked, like that's what I worry about. But then
Yeah.
I remind myself that I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Like no one can do it like you. And it's such a like conceited way to like make myself feel better, but it really is true sometimes.
Yeah, I was actually going to say I think like long term it would have like the opposite effect. It's like you know what I mean, because like you know reputation and someone might like get turned off by one event, but I think it'd be short lived. It would be like a minor trend that you might see a dip, but then people realize like because you're like consistent and intentional and like put focus on quality over quantity, it's still gonna like long term you'll still um y- succeed in this space. And it kind of reminds me of the way that like at first everyone is like running towards AI and now people are like, "Ugh, I'm just so sick of AI slop. Like, I want to read real words written by humans." Because like there was like that moment where copywriters like, I'm done for, and now they're like, no, actually, if you have your own individual voice, like that's gonna be like the competitive differentiator. So
It
I
like
think
swings
like,
back. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. And I tell myself that a lot, but there are moments, as anyone does where I'm like, dang, this is gonna happen. I go worst case scenario, right? When it's like that's not even like the reality of it. But
yeah,
again, I'm only human, and so I have
girl,
those
I
days.
get it. Let's see. I guess like, is there anything like intentionally you chose not to do, like any norms or aesthetics or values you refuse to follow that you see like other people doing? Like yeah, I guess how you approached your events differently.
Um, I would say I think we talked a little bit about it, and like there's a lot of just very nice looking aesthetic events, and I see them and they're very Pinterest worthy, and I'm like, dang, like that's nice. Like I wish I could do it like that, and I want to go to those type of events, and when I see them be done, I'm like, wow, that's really nice, and I want to do it like that. Um, but then I'm logistical and I have a business mind and I'm like, that's not sustainable unless someone is sponsoring it, which that is my hope soon is to have more sponsorships because I can bring the people, I can deliver. I know what I'm doing. If I can get like more sponsorships, then I can do more of these bigger type of events and not have to charge, too much too to make it accessible. But I guess that's kind of what I've gone away from a little bit is like like worrying so much about the look of it instead of the feel of it. And I really do feel in the event space, like it is all about like the Instagram worthy photo op or, like everyone wants the cutesy stuff and like the theme and like the matching sets and the matching workout mats and all of the things. And I want that too. Trust me, I'm very aesthetic and I love all of those things, but um, uh, trying to be sustainable, sometimes that's just not in the budget or it's not priority. So I guess I've stayed away from making it my goal for it to look better than it feels.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my events, they don't have a lot of decorations. And I just recently, like when I did the balloon arch, it was the first time I had done something like that. But it was like, I didn't even know, like when my friend came to me and said that, I was like, oh yeah, that would be actually really nice. Like that's not even top of mind for me when I'm hosting
Yeah.
an event. But I want it to be, like I want to have the budget for that. And I want to be able to do all of those things because I am a very aesthetic person. Um, but for me, it's more important that it feels good and that it goes well for everyone. Like if a venue is allowing me to have something there, I want it to be beneficial to them. So I always ask them, like, what's your goal in this? Like, do you want exposure? Do you want foot traffic? Do you want food and beverage sales? Like, I want to know their goal from the very beginning so that I can deliver on that. And that is my main goal is deliver on like the goal for them, but also deliver on the feeling that the person coming into the event and paying money to be there feels. So those are always like my things. I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm always more concerned about the feeling of it than the look of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that leads into me being able to do the really cool aesthetic things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's such a good approach. Like again, it's sustainable and I think you're probably not too far off from, you
Mm.
know, with from sponsorships on the way.
Yeah, I just need to, again, just be strategic, kind of understand what I have going. Cause sometimes I forget, like, you're doing like really cool stuff. Like the opportunities that I've gotten, I'm just like, wow, like that is like when I really sit down with them, I'm like, that is so cool. Like if I could just show like Rosie 3 years ago, like you're doing this, people are reaching out to you asking and, wanting to see how they can work with you. Like you just need to be strategic. And I think sometimes that's hard and especially for women because strategic has a little bit of a negative connotation of like if you're being strategic with something like you're being sneaky about something, but I'm like strategic is the only way that I can make this sustainable. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't
No, I don't think there's
want
anything negative or sneaky about it. Like it's just like, but you're right. Something sometimes when women do things, it comes across differently, but like business is business. You know what I mean?
right. Exactly. And that's the thing too. Like, I've had I put a question box once for the events and I said, like, do you have any questions about the upcoming event? And someone said, where's all the money from the ticket sales going? And I remember being like, well, what do you mean? Like, from the $30 that I'm charging, like what do you mean? Like, where is it going? And like, I think what their real question was like, why isn't it being donated, or why isn't it going to like charity or something like
Yeah.
that? And I'm like, look, I'm one person and I value my time and the effort that I put into things, and I'm business minded too. So I'm like, if I want like when I like I do things like that, when I want to be able to like give to charity and do all of these different things, but it was just very like audacious, I guess, for someone to just
Yeah.
like, you wouldn't go to Target and tell them like, where is the money from my sales going? Or
Right.
like you wouldn't go to a gas station and say like, why is it this much and where is all the money going? How much are your employees being paid? Like all it was just
Yeah.
very like people, I don't know, it hit me a little bit because then it made me feel like, dang, like, am I being like, should I not be charging for these, or like, should my money be
Absolutely
going,
not. No.
And so then like
Yeah.
it hits me, but then my sister reminded me and she's like, they would never go up to someone at a store and say, where is this money going? So
Yeah.
why would people feel the need to ask you that? But then, in my mind, I was just kind of like, you know what, maybe because there have been some events that the proceeds were going to something, and maybe I could just guide them to those events if like that's what they feel good about spending their money on. Or if I ever have an event that proceeds will be going to something, then like that will be the event that they purchase. But maybe this is not the one for them, so let me guide them to the ones that are going to pets, are going to like um the Humane Society, or like breast cancer awareness, all of those things. I'm like, if they want their money to go to that, then here are the places that are having those type of events.
Yeah.
This particular one that I'm hosting is not. The $30 are going to pay for the event itself and the time and energy that goes into it. So yeah, that was just one that I was just kind of like, it like hit me a little bit because I'm like, am I doing this wrong? But then like my mind, I was like, no, like this shows that you value your time and your energy, and also that you're paying people for what is happening here. And
Yeah.
none of this happens by chance. Like there's a lot of time and effort that goes into it. So yeah, just little things like that I've learned in all of this.
Right. Yeah. No, it just sounds like a very naive person.
And to no fault
So,
to them, they didn't,
yeah.
maybe they didn't know, and like their question was very innocent, but to me it really made me think through my entire like strategy, my entire business, and my entire intention. And then I remembered, I'm like, no, like you're doing something, and there is a lot of giving back that you're doing in other ways. It might not just be in people's faces right now, and that's okay. I don't need to like
Yeah.
spend my time trying to prove that to somebody.
I think that just showcases like what a thoughtful human that you are. You know what I mean? Like,
Thank
you
you.
know, yeah. Yeah, that's well,
But that's
uh,
business, and that's kind of like what I like. You talked about coaching, and like I do some of that as well. And I just think like that is the stuff that no one's talking about. And like people are seeing things online, and they're seeing these activations happen through like big companies, right? Like Coachella, for example, is a huge activation space. Like people are paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to put those things on. But their whole intent is that obviously that's going to bring a lot of brand awareness back to them. What I'm
right.
doing, like, there's no big company behind me doing all of these things. So I want to really start to spotlight those things. Like I met a lot of people who are starting out more social clubs just this Sunday, actually. And I was just very curious. Like in my head, I'm just like, okay, but what's the end goal? Like we love the cute stuff. We love being able to, do all of these different things, but like, what is the end goal here? When studios do this, very strategic, very smart, because that's bringing in, lead generation. When brands do the same thing, but when it's like you're just pouring your heart into all of this, and you're doing like all of these different types of events, like at some point, like you're going to be burnt out, and um, or you're going to spend a ton of money for no real
Yeah.
return. And like, what is the return? If your return is truly to build community, like mine is, then your return is there. But also, again, like I do want to make this a business, and I have made it a business, so I want to kind of give people that side of things too. Like as a woman too, like you get to charge things, you get to take up space,
Thank
and
you. Yes.
like you get to be like an every other business owner human, or even man, right? That they just say like, yeah, this is what I charge, $10,000,
Yeah.
take it or leave it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
why
think like
can't we
there's like
do
a
that?
mindset shift like that happens like especially in this like social club space because I've been tracking a lot of it as well, and I think sometimes it just comes down to like that mindset shift between is this a hobby that I just like want community around me or do I want to turn this into a business and like it can still be feel good and packed full of value, but it can also be a profitable business if you approach it right. It's just
Mhm.
like if you and it seems like you've made that shift because I know that like um this isn't the only thing that you do. So like at some point you're gonna have to choose between like your events business and your coaching business or and I think you also have a 9 to 5 as well. So like how do you
I do.
balance that? Like
I don't. I am crazy and constantly feel like a chicken with her head cut off. But like, yeah, I agree. Like in my head, there's an end point, right? Like I love what I do in this event space. I love what I do with coaching. And I would love for that to be like my full time. And so
hmm
like I do have an end goal. And even with the event space, wow, I got teary-eyed. um, even with the event space, like my end goal, like my big dream, I would love to have like a physical space where it's either a studio or like a wellness center or something. So like I'm thinking big time, right? And so like this is just that stepping stone that I need to really cultivate and do right so that I can get to that next big step. And so like when I also what I guess I didn't mention when I started Upleveled Wellness, like really my intention also was to figure out if there was a community here in Tucson that wanted something like this because I could have just opened up a studio and then realized like Tucson wasn't ready for a boutique studio. Now I can see that they are, there's many boutique studios now and the event space is popping off and people really want those experiences. So now I see, yes, of course. But 3 years ago when I moved, or 4 years ago when I moved back to Tucson, with that idea of like, I want to bring what I saw in Denver, I want to bring it to Tucson, there was no way that like Tucson was ready for that. And I would have
hmm
spent, thousands of dollars and probably flopped because Tucson wasn't ready for it. So in my head, I'm like, let me build that community and that want for a space like that. And then phase two would be the physical space. So yeah, I'm very, I keep saying strategic and like, I need to be okay with saying it because it feels icky sometimes, but there is strategy behind what I'm doing and I'm not going to act like there isn't.
yeah. I no, I wholeheartedly agree that like Tucson is right on the cusp of like being there. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what makes me excited. And like to your point, like at one point I will have to choose, but I really like the fact that the event space with wellness has really been easy to kind of marry with what I'm doing with the coaching space because at first, when I was very 9 to 5 corporate minded, like I was doing a lot of career coaching because that's kind of where I was. And I wanted to guide women in that space. Now that I'm in more of the business side of things and I'm actually, doing it, I want to be able to guide people in that because we as women can literally take over the world if we just like supported each other. And so like in my head, I'm like, how can I build this community of women to just like up level them as much as I
hmm
can because like if they're winning, I'm winning. If I'm winning, they're winning. And I hope that
hmm
that's the feeling that people get from me. So it's been really cool to be able to have that business side of things with the event planning and wellness events and also be able to do the coaching that and that's kind of come together like it all just fits which I'm like why didn't I do this sooner like I love this
Yeah,
and so my hope is yes of course that one day I could do that full time and that pays my bills and that's why I have to be strategic because no one is paying my bills it is me
yeah.
and only me so I have to make this work.
I mean, you said it here first. Just,
Yeah.
put I'm a firm believer just put it out in the universe. But yeah, no, you're so right. Like, I firmly believe that like you can be successful in community and like I love the way that women collaborate and like support each other. Like it's possible to like, you know, collaborate and grow together like in separate businesses. I think
Yeah,
but I
and
think
be
we're just kind of
mission led.
entering this phase of like seeing that like just like so what, holding each other up sort of thing.
Yeah, and like mission based too, right? Like if you say that you're doing something like with a mission, people then just for some reason don't put it together with money. I
Hmm.
came like most of my career is a nonprofit. And the thing that irked me the most about being a nonprofit was that anytime we had like leadership meetings, everyone would say like, no one comes to nonprofit to make money. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you guys, because you guys have husbands and like I don't know how you're paying your bills, but I'm like, I'm here for the money.
Yeah.
Like, I need a paycheck and I also love to have a mission behind it. So like, why can't they both exist? And so I
Yeah.
remember that just triggered me so much, and every leader in nonprofit said it. And it was
Yeah.
always like, I know none of you guys are here for the money. And I'm like, what else are we here for? Like, yes, I love the kids and I want to like support early education and early intervention and all of the things that I was doing at the time, but I'm like, but yeah, I'm also here for a paycheck because I have bills to pay.
Yeah.
So I want to normalize that, like you can have a mission and you can be wanting to, build others up and do all of these things and also sustain your lifestyle and be able to pay your bills at the end of the month. So
Yeah.
I want to normalize that, and I talk about that a lot with like my business coaching clients of like we shouldn't be afraid of wanting to have money to pay for things, especially in this economy.
Yeah, we can and should normalize having both a mission-based business and one that makes substantial money, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
all businesses, right?
why else are we here?
Yeah, I'm like I would love to do this for free, of course, if I knew my bills were getting paid and that I would be able to eat every week.
Yeah,
But if not for that, then I'm not sure why else I would be doing all of this.
right. Right. Well, with our like last few minutes, I just have a couple more questions left. I guess is there a version of this up-leveled wellness that like scares or stretches you, but you know it's time for the next expansion?
Yeah, every day. I think every time I get an opportunity that I'm scared of or that I'm like, it would require me to really hire out my vision. That's where I'm at right now, where I know that I'm at the place right now where it could blow up if I just let go a little bit. But
Hmm.
also that's really scary because I'm sure every business owner can relate to this, but it's really scary to like let your dream onto other people's hands. And so I'm like, like with my events, like I love to be able to go and hug everybody and welcome them into the space and like make them feel good. If I have to lose that, I'm scared that
Yeah.
like my events won't feel the same, but I also have to believe that I am the person kind of running it and managing it and that I would find the right people that would have that same feeling that I have and put it forth to the entire event. So that's where I'm at right now, where I know that this can be I could have sponsorships, I could do all of those things, but you start to give up a little bit of your control in it. Like as soon as you get sponsorships, then you are supposed to do something for someone else the way that they
Hmm.
want it. And that might take away from the way that I want to do things. So it's like that will be my struggle. So that's what stretches me right now. I think also the expectation. That is one thing, if I could say one word of what scares me the most is the expectation that people just expect things from you. Like if you are being given a sponsorship, they expect something from you. If I continue to host these events, people expect that from me. And that is hard sometimes because again, I'm just one person. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, the expectation, I'm like, do I have like commitment issues or like, what is it? Like sometimes it's just scary that people have an expectation of you and just they think that
Yeah.
your next step should be this. So I think that's where my next expansion is. And I have to be able to trust that I will have the right, like I've supported so many people around me that I have to just hope that that support will continue to come back to me too. But it's
I
very
just want to
scary.
I just want to reflect something back to you that you said just a few minutes ago is that you're right. Like you still have that choice on whether or not to take that sponsorship. You're self-selecting who you hire to work with you. And the most important part is that like you're establishing the culture. So like when you know what I mean? When you're training someone that's on your support team, like it's coming directly from you and you get to like uphold that so that like that that feel good vibe, that intentionality, the value based, like, value being at the top of the pyramid of importance or, priority, like that's going to continue to stay because it's still your vision. So like,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
And I've been a leader in a lot of my roles in my career, but you're upholding someone else's mission and someone else's idea. So you're almost still being told, like, this is how we do things. It's very different when you are choosing how we do things. And when it's just you, like a lot of people have like co-founders or, their friends that they're doing it with. So they have people to bounce these ideas off of. Um, I have my sisters, but sometimes like even that, like I don't like they don't get it the way that I'm put like it's in my head. And so it's very different when it really falls on you to be the leader and to be the one who sets the tone. But I have to remind myself, I'm like, I'm doing this at work. I've been doing this in my events. I can do this on that next level. I just need to trust that I can do it.
yeah, yeah.
And
You definitely don't have to.
I tell
You
all my
definitely.
clients that, but sometimes it's hard to tell that to yourself.
I know we're like it's hard to coach yourself, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the thing is like, you can have it all, and um, this just kind of increases your bandwidth to host more events. Like when you
Yeah.
finally, pull that lever and get either a partner or you know, a what I don't know, just a support staff, I guess.
A team,
Uh,
yeah, like that's my hope is to be able to have a team soon where I'm like, I'm the one guiding the mission and guiding the leading everything, right? Like I'm telling them this is how I want things done. And I think that's where I'm at. Cause even though I have open that door for others to come and support me. Like as soon as something doesn't go exactly how I want, I'm like, nope, never mind. I'm taking this back. Like I can do this. No, no one else needs to do this. Why am I paying someone else to do this when I can do this myself? Because I'm so like, it's my baby, and I am the face of it, right? Like unintentionally, I'm building in public, and I am the face of it. So anything that happens with that, it's not like, oh, that's up leveled. That's no, that's Rosie. And that
mhm.
is a scary thing sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely something to take in consideration for sure. I guess what has building a community taught you about yourself that you did not expect?
Um, I think what we just talked about, like the control part of things and also the expectation, like avoidance. I'm a little bit avoidant. Like as soon as like I'm a giver, I love to be able to give to people. Like they don't need to ask me for things. I want to do that for them. Like that is just my nature. It's when then it turns into an expectation that I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, I can't do this. Like as soon as someone
Yeah.
expects something of me, I'm like, no, 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 I can't do this. So it's
Yeah.
definitely like it's been a huge mirror to my to who I am and where I start to like shy away from things. And I think it would be that like as soon as things are not going exactly how I want them, I pull away. Or as soon as someone like expects something from me, I pull away. And I've really like I've gone in, I've had a lot of experiences recently where I'm like, oh wow, I'm walking into rooms where like I'm no longer like people are not there to say hi to me. Like people want something. Or
Mm,
like, like a lot of like, oh, let me pick your brain, like let's go to coffee, things like that. And I'm like, I love doing those things. And I was doing them like it was pretty much like a full-time job at that point for free. And I was like, picking, let me pick your brain coffee dates and what about this? And like all of these ideas, let's collaborate. And like, I love doing all of those things. But when it became an expectation or like I'm walking into a room and I immediately know like, oh, I'm not there just to like hang out and talk. There's like an agenda here.
yeah.
I found myself like really shying away from that. And that's some work that I still need to do, obviously, but it's hard when you walk into like into a situation and you're like, oh, there's like, and that's business, right? And that's what I tell to people,
Yeah.
say
That's
to
kind of,
people,
I
like,
feel like that's like an indicator of knowing that you've got something really powerful and really like, potential for, big success is when people want to start picking your brain because they're like, oh
yeah,
God, like they're seeking that help, that guidance from you.
yeah,
But I was also just going to comment like, they say entrepreneurship is like the best example of like self-development or like that you'll ever
Yes.
go through, and it's so true.
And
Like
it's
you're
so
constantly
true.
being mirrored back all of your fears, like your limiting beliefs, and deciding whether you're going to stay stuck or if you're going to take action. So,
Yeah, like I've gone to therapy a lot of my adult life, and I'm a proponent of it. Like even when I felt like I didn't need it, I was going to therapy, and like I'm telling everyone, like you all need therapists, we all need therapists.
get
And it,
yourself a therapist.
yeah, and it wasn't until I started this that I really started doing more of that work, right? Like now I don't have a therapist because I feel like this whole business stuff is like really putting that mirror up to me. And I have all the tools now to be able to work through it. So just even having the self-awareness, I'm so grateful for it because maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if I was in this position, I don't know if I could have held it the way that I'm holding it right now because I'm okay with someone, with a mirror being held up to me like, hey, there's still some work to do here. And I guess it never ends. And that's the crazy part is that all our lives we're just gonna have to keep working on ourselves. And
Mhm.
I get tired sometimes.
But I also, it sounds like because you have this awareness, you're also allowing yourself to be a little bit more gentle with the process. Like it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this theme is coming back up again. Like I,
Yeah.
we know how to like hold this, observe it, move through it,
Yeah.
analyze it.
Even when people like quote unquote like do something to me now, like it doesn't affect me as much as it would have done to me like 3 years ago. And that's again business, right? Like there's an exchange of things, like everyone wants something. So realizing now that I'm walking into some of these meetings and saying like they obviously want something from me, what do I want from them, and being okay with that. I think I walked
Hmm.
into a lot of those rooms very naive, just thinking like I'm here to chit chat, until it wasn't that. And I was like, wait, well, how did I leave with work? And like, like nothing in exchange.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until then that like I was like, oh, like if people are coming to me for this, like that means I have something to offer. And like now I have leverage to also, if I need something back. So I think it's taught me that like the avoidance part, the expectation part, and also being okay with receiving. Because again, I've been a giver all my life. So when someone's like, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. And I'm like, no, 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 you don't need to do anything for me. Like, it's fine. Like, it's okay to receive. And actually, like, I'm being, I'm being okay with doing that more now because I'm like,
Hmm.
we're all getting something out of it. And as long as we all feel like we're on that playing field of like give and take, then it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to feel icky. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and something I like to think about, because I've also struggled with receiving, is if like you need to learn how to be a good receiver because if not, you're robbing someone the opportunity to give, and giving gives people a lot of joy. So, like,
Yeah,
anytime I feel a little bit guilty about receiving something, I'm like, no, this person's receiving joy, and I'm like blocking them from feeling that.
I
And
love
then the
that.
the second thing I was going to say is this I want more women to have this realization that this is just how business is, that there is a give and take, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, men don't struggle with this, like how they're perceived or their self-worth or any of the emotions that come up with just business is give and take. And like,
Hmm.
I'm just loving that you're so open and upfront and honest about this, because I think this is what women really lack in business for a long time, like the first couple years until they really kind of figure it out. So I think it's really important to talk about.
Yeah. And I'm a straight shooter too, that I'm like, look, if you came into this meeting and said, look, I like what you're doing. I want this. Let's talk about like how to make this work. That would be very different for me. And I would appreciate that way more than
Yeah.
this like, oh, tell me more. I'm very interested in what you're doing. That's so cool. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, wait, you asked for something and like, I'm giving it to you. And like, it just felt like sneaky, right? So I'm like, no, be a straight shooter with me. I'm a straight shooter with you. Like, this is business.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that as women, we have to work on as well, is just being okay with being direct and upfront and asking for what we want because everyone else is doing that. Why can't we?
Right, exactly. And I think that I feel like that's might be your answer for the last question, but just in case it's not, what advice would you give someone hoping to start their own community, meetup, or social club?
I would definitely say like have a real purpose for it. Be strategic. If you want to open up something and like this will give you that visibility, like do it with intent. I love, when people do things out of a hobby and like they just really want that and like that's great and there's room for that. But if that is truly like what you want to do, like do it as that. But if you have a real intention for it, um, make that very clear to yourself from the very beginning because it'll save you a lot of time and energy and money. And you will be more successful quicker than if you like play like, oh, this is just a hobby. I'm doing it for fun. And then all of a sudden you have resentment because you've spent all this money and time and not no returns back. So I say if you're doing it truly to build a community, you want to host these events because you want to do these things and that's your only intent, great. Keep doing that. Like make sure you're breaking even at least, right? But if you're doing it to make money, um, make sure that there's like strategy and intent behind it because it's not like it's not as clear cut as people think like, oh, if I charge $50 and I get 60 people there, I will make X amount of money and it's all going to come back to me. Like it's not that. And I want people to know that, especially when they're starting out like doing very extravagant, cutesy type of events. And I'm like, that's for no proof of concept yet, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, that is such good advice. And this has just been such a juicy episode. I'm so glad that we had a chance to sit down.
Me too.
How can people follow you, get in touch with you? Just share all the socials.
I'm most active on Instagram. I'm new to TikTok, but it has been helping me lately. So I'm trying to be more intentional with TikTok. But um, on Instagram, my personal one is rosie.upleveled. And then the business one is upleveled.wellness on Instagram. And then TikTok, I think it's the same as my personal one. And that's where I'm just most active. I feel like I understand Instagram and all of those things. I'm trying to be better about like my business side of things with like LinkedIn and things like that. But really, I feel very comfortable with Instagram. I feel like I built a really good community there. And I feel like I can just say the things without having to like curate everything. So that's where people can find me.
Perfect. I'll make sure to add all of that to the show notes. Again, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to have this conversation. And I just, these are all the topics that I love to talk about. I never like have a space to actually like talk all of these types of things. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay. If this conversation lit something up in you, this is your sign. Share the episode, start the conversation, build the thing. And if you're creating community, hosting gatherings, or building spaces people actually care about, I want to meet you. I'm Megan Lycan, and this is Hot Girls Build Cults.